can tell from the title, it's probably, y'all probably like, girl, what in the world? The title is How I End Up Joining a White Sorority. It's really not, just brace yourself. Don't even have to brace yourself, to be honest. It's not a horror story. Like, I wasn't set up. I knew exactly what I was doing to a certain extent. So I will be leaving my chapter's name out just because I feel like that's going to be what's best, especially just in case I end up giving like a full backstory in regards to like how things went with my sorority. But for right now, I'm just going to start off giving just a very base standard, I guess, story time. Now, like I said, I'm going to be leaving the chapter name out of here, and I'm not going to be giving too many details in regards to like what I did, or like I guess I should say like the activities or whatever, like what I participated in. I'm not going to be going into that, so this isn't that type of video. I'm not about to be giving the tea. I'm just going to be talking about like my experience and how it turned out for me. You know what I'm saying? Not really like the process, because that ain't really none of y'all business. So let's get started. Perfect. So I end up pledging at the only chapter in Virginia. So these are my letters to show y'all it's not a joke. It's literally legit. It's 40. My other letters, these aren't letters you can buy online. These were actually hand stitched by one of my sorority sisters. It was actually, I think one of these was passed down from my big to me. But anyway, so long story short, I ended up going to a school when I had graduated. I ended up going to school, and the school had a sorority, and it also had a cheerleading team. So let's go back. The school had a cheerleading team. At the time, I was on the cheerleading team. Later down the line, I ended up becoming becoming one of the captains of that cheerleading team at that college. But moving on. While I was there, when I was new, most of the girls that were on the cheerleading team were also in the sorority. So a lot of times when we'd be at practice, they would be like, "Hey, girl, you should come out to some events, like just to see more about us, this, that, and the third," like typical recruiter process type thing, you know? So I never was really into the sorority thing. I always was familiar with the Divine Nine. I always knew like the beef between like AKAs and Deltas. I knew about like Q Dogs with the chains, the barking, the Kappas. Like I had dated a Kappa. So it was like I was familiar with that, but it wasn't anything where it was like it sparked my interest. Like me coming up as a child, growing up, like my mother graduated from college. My mother went to a HBCU, Norfolk State University. Me coming up, my mother never pressed like, "You're going to HBCU, you're going to HBCU." My mother's main thing was, "You're just going to college." You know what I mean? And that was because my mother, like, she went to college, but it was like she kind of fell upon college because from where she came from, or how she came up, college wasn't a thing. You know what I mean? It was like her guidance counselor had to tell her, like, "Nah, girl, you smart. Let's apply to Norfolk State." And that's how my mother ended up at Norfolk State. So it wasn't like my mother was like pushing for me, like, "Oh, you're going to go to my alma mater." It was actually the opposite. My mother was actually the opposite, but that's another topic for another day. Like I was saying, my mom's main thing was just go to school. Like, you're going to college, that's just what it is. Like, you're going to college, you're going to college. So my main thing was just going to school. So I saw that to say I wasn't into like the Divine Nine, like into that world. I was just mainly like aware of like I said, the Deltas and the AKAs had beef. Like that's what I knew. Kappas, like I knew the basis. So when I went to college and I was on the cheer team, and the cheerleaders were like, "Yeah, girl, you should totally come out, like come to some of the events, blah, blah, blah." Now let me say this. These were not all girls that were reaching out to me saying that I should pledge. It was predominantly, I'm sorry, y'all. It was predominantly Black girls like me that were saying, "Hey, girl, come out, pledge, come out, pledge." And they were the ones that was giving me the game in regards to why I should pledge. And we're going to get into that further along the line. But I ended up going to some of the events. Eventually, I was like, okay, girl, I'm gonna just go. Like one of my homegirls, one of the girls I was getting real tight to. Shout out to Michaela, one of my sorors that I was getting real tight with was like, eventually she convinced me. I'm like, you know what, I'll just go. And another girl that convinced me was a girl who lived in my hall, another one of my sorority sisters. At the time, we lived in the same hall, so she was like, girl, come on, let's just pledge together. Like, let's just do it together. It'll be easier together. So I'm like, okay, girl, whatever. Like, I really just did it because she wanted to do it. But I was even like, when we went to the first meeting, I was looking at her like, girl, they got one time to say something out the pocket, I'm out. You know what I mean? Because this ain't even for me. I'm here for you. So we ended up going to some events, and I ended up going with my friend. And it was cool. Like, I liked the girls for the most part. It was just different. Like, you got to remember, like, how I came up, I wasn't necessarily only around black people. Like, I was pretty cultured. You know what I mean? Like, I went to a private school where it was a good mix of black and white people, but then also, like, I still hung around my cousins outside of school. I still was around, like, around the public school kids. You know what I mean? So it was an even balance. So it wasn't, long story short, it wasn't uncomfortable for me to be in this or share a space or be around people that didn't necessarily look like me or had the same complexion as me. And I know how to be comfortable in each space. You know what I'm saying? No matter what space I'm in, I know how to make myself comfortable. Went to a couple of events where before I knew it, I was like, all right, I'll pledge. Like, like whatever. So we go to, I think it was one of the, not even the first activities, but one of the activities, y'all. And this is how I end up becoming president. And we'll get into that. One of the activities, and this is me, I'm not even a member yet. Like, this is like one of the new member activities. And we had to do something. And it wasn't even crazy. Like, it wasn't hazing. It was none of that. We had to recite something. And when it was my turn, I told him no, because I don't know it. You know what I don't know it. And I had practiced it, but it was just like, no. And I was very politely, and it was so, like, now looking back on it, I'm like, I am kind of crazy. Because it was like a room full of, like, what, it was at least 20 to 30 sisters. It's only like, what, 6 or 7 of us in the class, and we're just sitting there, and they're like, go, like, say what you're supposed to say. And I go, respectfully, The person go, I'm sorry, what? I'm like, I'm not saying it. I don't know it. Next. Hand to God, y'all. Hand to God, I said that. Sisters, they played off I could tell they're like, who is this? You know what I mean? Like, who does she think she is? But I didn't care. I don't know. I just don't care. Y'all not about to make me do nothing I don't want to do. I said, no, I don't know it, and I'm not about to embarrass myself and say it and then look stupid for not knowing it. No. Go to the next person. You know what they did? They went to the next person, and I didn't say what I was supposed to say. So at that point, I'm like, I don't really know, and I don't really care. Because again, y'all, I didn't care. This wasn't something I was itching to do. So I kind of was just sitting there like, are we done? You know what I mean? Like, I really wasn't tripping. Like, I kind of was. I'm not going to flex like I didn't care. Part of me was like, dang, I'm probably out, ain't it? I'm probably out. All the sisters on my line were just looking at me like, you know what I mean? Like, they respected me though. It was like respect, but girl, do you know what you just did? So at that point, I was just like, it was what it was. Like, I wasn't tripping, y'all. Before I knew it, long story short, we crossed over. They still wanted me. I ended up getting my big, which was the highlight of me pledging of the entire sorority to this day. I ended up getting my big, and she's white. Okay, but when I tell you my big, we're not gonna get into that yet because it's too soon. So I end up pledging. They end up accepting me or whatever. I end up pledging I crossed spring of 2018. Mind you, my big was the president. So when I was pledging coming in, my big was currently the reigning president, whatever you want to call it. She was currently the presiding president, I should say. So once I crossed March of 2018. By January of 2019, I was president of the chapter. And I know you guys are probably like, well, how in the world? Girl, I don't even know either. Really, you know what happened was, as soon as I crossed over, that's when the sisters was like, it was election time. And elections is like when it's time to be electing like your new board. You know what I mean? So who's gonna be the president, the vice president, the president of recruitment, things of that nature. The sisters coming to me like, the older sisters, like the vets, they're coming to me like, girl, yeah, you should apply. You should run for president. I'm looking like, I just started. You remember that first meeting? Y'all wanted me to say that thing. I didn't say it. I don't even know. I'm new. I don't even know what I'm doing for real. You understand what I'm saying? And they're like, but no, that's what we want. Your boldness, you telling us hell no? Do you understand that? That showed us you're the one we want. And I'm looking like, okay, I kind of do get that. You know what I mean? I kind of do understand that. Because it wasn't like I never got the information. I eventually recited and I knew my information. I knew what I was supposed to know. But at that point, I guess it was just God trying to show them, or God trying to show me, I don't know. But I was making it clear to them, y'all not gonna make me do nothing I don't do. And I guess that boldness, that now I'm really telling y'all what I'm about to do, kind of made them be like, nah, girl, she's the one. So I'm not even 6 months in, and they're like, yeah, girl, you should totally, what's 6? Nah, I wasn't really 6 months in. Because before I got elected, they was telling me to go ahead and run. We had to do elections and everything. So they're like, girl, yes, you should totally run. You telling us that you weren't going to do it, that just showed us you're the leader. You need to be the face of the sorority, blah, blah, blah. And it was all true. Like what they were saying was facts. I knew they meant it because these was like vets. These was girls, these was sorority, these was sisters that like built the sorority or the chapter to be where it is now. You understand what I'm saying? So for it to be coming from them, I'm like, okay, had it been coming from my line members, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't have took none of what they were saying hard. I wouldn't have. But the fact that it was coming from who it was coming from, I'm like, okay, maybe I should. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I ended up becoming president as of January. Like I said, my big ends up passing down everything. And my big supported it. She was like, she gave me the ins and outs. She was like, let me let you know now the type of hoes you dealing with. Okay? So my big definitely put me on. But like I said, I pledged March of 2018, and by January, by January, I was president. I hope I'm not getting it. All I know is I was only in a semester. I hadn't even been crossed over. I hadn't even been a sister a year. So when I tell y'all I killed that presidency, you understand what I'm saying? Me coming in and me and my board, we switched that whole chapter around. That chapter is where it is. Well, let me not say that because go back. The chapter and how it was maybe 3 or 4 years after I left is because of me and my team, my LT, period. Because we came in there, because I had already known the issues that was going on with the sorority. I had already known like ideas that I wanted to do, like collabing with other sororities. Because there were other sororities on our campus, y'all, but they were local sororities. So they weren't sororities that like really went anywhere. No shade, no tea. With our sororities, we were the only international sororities. So like for me, I have sorority sisters in Canada, France, Mexico, like all over the world. It's not just in the United States. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like an international type of thing. You know what I mean? All across the world. Even here in North Carolina, we have a couple chapters in this area. And I haven't even looked into stuff like that because I really don't care no more because I didn't graduated. Like, if anything, I would be looking into being an advisor for a chapter, and I'm not even interested in that type of stuff right now. But when we came in there, we had changed things upside down. I had already said, I'm like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to revamp this, take this out, redo this, all of that. I had gotten us back cool with our founders. Like, it was a lot to it. So when we came in there, we really did that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we really did that. A little bit into how I met my big. My big really chose me before I chose her. I knew I liked my big because she was like no nonsense. For one, I liked the fact that she was the president. Because I'm like, for you to be president, you got to have a certain type of way with you. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be like likable, but they also know not to play with you. So part of me was like, I don't know. For her to be president, my big to be president, that's like cool. And I remember my line sisters being like, oh, it's so cool that you have you have her as the president as your possible bid, because we kind of all knew who we wanted or who kind of wanted us. We didn't know for sure until they revealed it. But once I knew I got her, I'm like, yeah, that's gonna make sense. And then like my bid was literally when I went through my lowest, probably one of the lowest times in my life. Literally, my bid was there and literally rescued me. I can't even outside of Jesus, God, literally. 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 I don't know what I would do for real. Back in 2019, back in them days when I went to that school I went to, if I didn't have my big, I don't know. But anyway, I say all that to say I love my big to death. My big has been my rider, okay? And that's all I'm gonna tell you. People can say what they want about color and all this. My big is as white as can be. She didn't held me down stronger than some of my own fellow sisters. I'm not gonna lie to you. Unfortunately, it's an unfortunate truth. Anyway, to move on from that, so my sorority experience for the most part was good. When I was president, we stayed in an apartment I stayed with my sorority sisters, my closest sorority sisters. For the most part, it was good. Like I said, we did mixers, we did events, we did volunteer service. I mean, we did so many different things. Like we went to the animal shelter. We did so many different things. Bonding activities, retreats, parties, of course, like mixers, things of that nature. Like we really did come in there and revamp it. Now, how it all turned out is the part where it makes it super like, puts a bad taste in my mouth and kind of, I'm not gonna say it's traumatizing, but it's kind of like, it's never something I really want to talk about. I guess I should say nothing I really enjoy talking about, but I enjoy being a part of the sorority. I'm still technically a part of the sorority. I haven't even crossed over as an alum yet, and that's just to somebody to pay a fee. And I don't even know if I care that much to pay a fee, just because the way that things ended with my chapter, not really the sorority in itself, but the way that things ended with my chapter was just so foul. But I can't throw the whole baby out with the bathwater because I can't say that it was my entire chapter. I can't say it was my entire chapter or all the sisters in it, but I will say this without going into too many details because again, that is something literally when I tell you that's a whole nother story time for a whole nother day if I was to go in more in depth. And if y'all want me to go in depth about that and do a story time in regard to that, you gotta comment and let me know because else I'm not gonna know. But comment, like, subscribe, and just let me know. But let's just say the way it ended, I learned the major thing that I learned, the biggest lesson that I learned is when you're a leader, you cannot lead people and be their friend too. It's just not gonna work. Because once boundaries are crossed and like the people you're supposed to be leading, they think like y'all are friends or they think they can kind of, you know what I mean? Like y'all cross a line where it's like, now they're not, the respect thing is kind of like skewed. That's a dangerous place to be in as a leader. And that's something I'll probably never do again, honestly. Like I'll probably never be friends with the people I lead again. And that's just real simple. That's why I'm not for really being friends with coworkers. I'm not for really being friends with church members. I know that sounds terrible, but I don't know, not anybody that eventually I can be over or anything, no. Because those lines get real skewed when it comes to the respect factor. That's the number one lesson I learned with being president over that sorority. And then the outcome of it just left such a bad taste in my mouth. You know? Like I literally can't even without going into words, but not too many details. But it's gonna sound crazy how I say it, but it ended up turning out the same sorority sisters, some of the sorority sisters that I was the tightest with, and this is excluding my big. So let me make that clear. This is excluding my big. Some of the sorority sisters that I was the tightest with, I'm talking lived with, I'm talking went to each other's house for family dinners, for holidays, spent New Year's together, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Lived together. When I had a situation where, my bad, Joe, I ran out of storage, but what I was saying was, Um, the sorority thing, it leaves such a bad taste in my mouth when I talk about the ending because it was like such a good start, middle, you know what I mean? But to make a long story short, those same sisters that I was living with, was going to these events with, built the sorority back up with, consoled, was a shoulder to cry on, all these things, was leading some of the very sisters that I was the closest with, and like I said, this is excluding my big. Some of those same sisters that I was the tightest with, when I had a situation, and y'all really don't know. People who know. Okay. People who know me, they'll know the situation. But I was very discreet with that as well. But back in 2018, 2019, back in 2018, I was in a domestic violence type of situation. I had a crazy ex, long story short, that subsequently led to us going to court. Because police were called due to him. Not that I called the police on him, and not that necessarily that he called the police on me, but he was causing such a disturbance that the police were called. Long story short, I had transferred to another school where I ended up getting my bachelor's from. But when I had transferred, I was still going back and forth to court due to the situation that was going on with my ex. So I was still in school, in nursing school, but I would have to take off or whatever and come to the area I was at where the court case was to go to court to handle things in court with the person. Would I lie to y'all not? And my big is my witness. I believe the very first court case, those same sisters that I was the tightest with showed up to the court case. And I know what y'all thinking. Y'all probably like, girl, you being real dramatic. Of course they would show up to the court case. They showed up to the court case and they were on the side of the man that tried to kill me. My big is my witness. I walk in and the ones that I was the closest with were literally sitting across from me on the defendant's side, on the side of the very man that they already knew was crazy about me and crazy period. Had told me numerous times, girl, he crazy. You know what I mean? Has been witness to the man being crazy with me. You know what I'm saying? And they were sitting across from me on the side of the man that tried to kill me. So at that point, I don't know. I just had never, because even where I'm from, even if you got beef with them, you not doing no weird mess like showing up to the court case of the nigga. You know what I mean? Like we'll fight you in the street, handle it how you need to handle it, but we don't do no weird like that. You feel what I'm saying? With the courts, and that's some weird goofy. You know what I'm saying? That was some real goofy. So at that point, I'm like, and then we can't even say this is a white people thing or a culture, because even my big was sitting beside me like, I know that ain't who I see across. You know what I mean? Because it was one of the moments like, there's no way. My big's like, there's no way. I'm like, I know, girl. I'm keeping cool. Because I'm really trying to be numb. Because I'd already told myself when I was coming to this court case, no feelings, no emotions, don't do nothing, because you don't know what you're going to like to see. So my big was more out her body than I was. My big's like, I know that ain't who I thought. I'm like, girl, your eyes ain't deceiving. It was really a shock to the system, y'all. And when I tell y'all, this is the same sorority sisters that when one of my sorority sisters was getting jumped, I jumped in to defend her, beat a little white girl for my sorority sister. Got suspended from school for the sorority sister. Only was suspended for maybe a weekend because they had evidence proof to show I was just jumping in defending my friend or my sorority sister. But the point is, the same one is sitting there on this nigga's side. I will tell you, me and my mother thought about this. We said maybe they just showed up to be nosy. Because I will tell you, after that first court case, they didn't show up no more. Because at that first court case, it was like the proof, like pictures, like, and you can't fight pictures. I mean, my nails were broken, y'all. I had scratches on my neck because he had strangled me. It was that. You feel what I'm saying? So it was one of those things. I don't know if they came to be nosy, and once they got the proof, like, oh nah, like he gave us one side of the story whole time. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I feel like it was, but either way, that's not the point, because at the end of the day, y'all look foul as no matter how you flip the script, y'all look foul as. And I just was not understanding. I could understand that these was females I had beef with. And we had fell out before I left. We had fell out, but we fell out because, like I had reiterated earlier, they couldn't handle the fact that I'm your friend, girl, but I'm your president first. You understand what I'm saying? Let's keep the boundaries. They couldn't keep the boundaries. That's why we fell out. And that's why I said I'll never do that again. I'll never be friends with people that I led, because boundaries on a whole nother level is crossed. Put a terrible taste in my mouth when it came to females. A terrible taste in my mouth. Thankfully, I've grown past that. And that's why when I have females who try to play in my face, or that's why when I have females who try to throw back in my face what I've dealt with, again, like I said in one of my other videos, I'm doing good to be friends with you hoes. Because I have a right to hate you hoes. You understand what I'm saying? I have a right to not be friends with not now hoe. You understand me? But you don't blame one person or a group of people. You know what I mean? They was just foul. I can't do nothing. They was foul. And the girls, one of the girls that I fought for, that she was getting jumped, and I jumped in for her. She did reach out to me, try to fix it and mend it. But it's, girl, you showed up to the court case. We're not mending nothing. You can go to hell. Come on, that's what I'm saying. It'd be like, y'all, I bend over backwards for people. I literally got in a fight because the girl was getting, my sorority was beating the girl up so bad her friend had to jump in. So then I had to jump in because her friend jumped in. Got suspended out of school for this girl. Like I said, I ended up coming back because the dean ended up telling me, girl, I would have did the same thing if that was my sister. We already know how that goes, so it won't deep. And thankfully there was video to show I was just defending my sorority sister. But the fact that I did all that, I almost got kicked out of school, and you show up to this girl, we're never going to be cool again. Out of all them hoes, you're the one I'll never be cool with. I'll never be cool with none of them, but you're the one I would spit on if he was on fire. So that's why now I don't even play with hoes. Did you see what I'm saying? Because you cool, people try you, and then once you... That's why now I just don't play. I don't let now hoe play in my face not one time. And that's why can't nobody throw that in my face why I act the way I am. What the hell? I'm going to keep acting the way I am, because at the end of the day, at one point in time, I won't. Yeah, y'all. So I will say that the sorority has made me connections. I will say that business-wise, I have sold lipsticks and lip glosses all across the world based off having sorority sisters that are all across the world. I will say that. That's what I got out of sorority. The lesson of, as well, when you're a leader, keep the boundaries as leader. Friendship is clip. I learned that early. I learned that, unfortunately, what can start as admiration can turn into envy. Because the same girls who was telling me, girl, yeah, you should be president, you should do it, go apply. It was cool, but then it was like, when people don't expect you to do that well of a job, it's kind of like, wait a minute, now I'm resenting the fact that you're doing so good at this job. That's why I don't do friends that's jealous. I don't play them games. Soon as you show me you've been hating, you've been weird, you've been on some, I leave you alone. And that's why, y'all, because I've dealt with not realizing or not being in tune or aware enough to know when your friend low-key hating, girl. Your friend low-key and turn to a jealous hate man. Gotta stay aware. But yeah, y'all, that is the story of why I joined a white sorority. Like I said, I did make connections. I did meet new people. I met my big. It's so many amazing people that I met through that sorority. So many connections made, business-wise, connections made. But like I said, I haven't even paid the fee to become. I haven't even paid the fee to become alum. Because I've really been thinking, I'm like, do I even really want to be alum? You know what I mean? I don't know. I almost feel like they need to write me a letter. You know what I mean? Because I'm so troubled. So it was so crazy how that situation turned out. I'm like, I don't necessarily want to be alone. Like, write me a letter or something. And that's just me keeping it as real as it is. So that is my story time about how I end up joining a white sorority. If I could go back, would I do it again? Yes, I would. As crazy as that sounds, if I could go back and do it again, I would totally, because I learned really some major key lessons when it comes to dealing with women, when it comes to being a leader, when it comes to being an adult, when it comes to dealing with relationships, when it comes to men, and then keeping that separate from your friends, like all of that. And how if you don't keep that separate, the mess you'll get. You know what I'm saying? So that's my story time. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, subscribe to the page. The Jobson JoJo, TheeRawestJO has dropped some more tea. Of course, y'all know love, peace.
I said, okay, my infatuation